we've been watching the play-in games. Oklahoma City Thunder, they had a huge turnaround. They were one game away from the playoffs. Huge turnaround for them. They were so much fun to watch, dude. Josh Giddey, Jalen Williams, Shai, so much fun. What do the Pistons have to do to turn it around like the Oklahoma City Thunder did this past year and become a play-in team and one game away from the playoffs, or even a playoff team? I'm going to throw you what I think needs to happen, and then I'll turn it over to you. I think everybody needs to stay healthy, especially Cade. He is the engine that drives that vehicle. He needs to stay healthy. That is the biggest thing for the Pistons here. He gives them the best chance. Detroit Weaver needs to draft a guy that's a day one player. Like, whether he's coming off the bench, starting, he needs to contribute. Need to find guys that are consistently good on defense and three-point shooting, because we got a lot of bigs. We just need to space the floor some more for Cade, Ivy, Duran to rim roll, James Wiseman. We need some floor spacing. And, yeah, those are my three big things right there. Well, then also just a coach with a good, definite game plan that can make adjustments on the fly. I definitely think those four things right there. But what about you? What do the Pistons need to turn it around?
Well, I was kind of thinking about the way OKC is constructed and how they've drafted so well over the past. I shouldn't say they've drafted well. They always draft well, it seems like.
Yeah.
You draft guys like Josh Giddey, who a lot of people, when they drafted Josh Giddey, they were shocked. They were surprised. Josh Giddey is one of the, up-and-coming stars in the NBA, in my personal opinion. Great player. You have a star in SGA already who averaged 30 points a game. I don't know if Cade or Jaden Ivey's capable of doing that, but I'm going to try to stay hopeful. Maybe they can, right? I don't know if they'll do that next season, but hey, we could be hopeful. They have guys that were undrafted. Lu Dort, wing defenders. They have great wing defenders. Our only wing defender is Isaiah Livers, right?
Yep.
So it's a lot of things have to go right. Like you said, you got to get that head coaching right. And we're going to get into who I personally think. I think it's down to two people already.
Yeah.
With all the reporting, I think the people that they're interviewing, obviously they've interviewed three people so far. I think, to me personally, there's two assistants that I have my eye on, and I think a lot of Pistons fans should have their eye on. Like you said, get the coach right.
Yep.
You got to address wing defenders in the draft, whether it's with your first overall pick or, you do have a second round pick that you do own, which is, I believe, like 31 or 32. So it's basically having another first round pick, a late first round pick. So address your wing defenders. Hopefully everyone stays healthy, and you just run the table, seeing if you can try to compete and try to win more than 17 games. I think it's possible for the Pistons to make the play-in, but they have to hit the draft, hope that everyone's healthy. You can't have people in and out of the lineup, and just go out there and compete, man. I think that there's definitely a lot of talent on this team. It's just we haven't seen all the talent on the floor together so far.
Okay, do you think the Pistons do make the play-in, though, next? Or, what do you think the chances are? Because the Raptors, they were in the play-in game. They were the 10th seed. They were 41-41. That's a huge leap for the Pistons to make.
Yeah.
And then you look at the Bulls, they were 40-42. Still, that's a 13-game improvement in the win column for the Detroit Pistons. And you're still going to be competing with teams like the Heat, the Hawks, the Pacers. We have to expect them to get better. The Wizards, you never know what's going to happen. Health, again, is something that affects them. So what do you think the odds are of the Pistons actually making a play-in game, or really even just getting enough wins? We'll just say it's like a 13. They have to get 13 more wins. Do you think there's a chance that they actually get 13 more wins this year?
It's hard to say because I don't know where they're going to draft. Like, if you were to tell me the Pistons are going to win the lottery again, and they have a Victor Wembanyama on their team, and they make really smart free agency moves, whether they sign someone in free agency or they make trades on draft night and they acquire another first round pick. I don't know, man. I don't have a crystal ball, but I do expect more than 20 wins, especially with the new head coach, especially with year 3 Cade Cunningham, year 2 Jaden Ivey, year 2 Jalen Duran. Players are going to get better. But I don't know if they can go from, like you said, 17 to 40 wins. That's a huge damn jump.
It really is.
Obviously, Sacramento this year did do that, but I will argue Sacramento has De'Aaron Fox, who to me is an all-star, and Domantas Sabonis, to me, one of the best power forwards in the game. And we really don't have that. We have talent, but we don't have that level of talent that Sacramento currently has. So I'll kind of leave it at that. But I do expect us to be in the low 30s, mid 30s win total. It's just I don't know if we can kind of get to the 40s. Like you said, that's a really big jump, and you don't really see a lot of teams make that type of jump without having a an all-star level type of player.
Yeah, let's not forget it took the Sacramento Kings or De'Aaron Fox like 5 years to make that jump. Like that wasn't. I mean, yeah, the wins happened over one season, but Sabonis came late to them last year via trade with the Tyrese Halliburton. That shocking trade that happened. Yeah, Sabonis, he's a top 15 player if he makes All NBA third team this year. He's an incredible talent. You compare that with Fox, but also what the Kings did, they've drafted 3 years in a row. They have had rookies contribute day one. Tyrese Halliburton, Davion Mitchell. I don't really know what his role is with Sacramento, but he's not a 3-and-D guy, but he's a good defender. They made solid signings, but also I can't forget Keegan Murray, instant impact, day one contributor for the Sacramento Kings. They have drafted well. That has helped. But yeah, it was one big jump from last season to this season, but it was a few years in the making. Like they're not the same age as the Pistons when they made that jump. But I'm gonna go ahead and say I just don't see the Pistons making a huge jump like that either. Like you're saying, 13 wins is a lot. So yeah, it's just too much for the Pistons to make. But I hope I'm wrong. I mean,
yeah, I mean, you never know. Like who you bring in as head coach could kind of like give them new life. Kind of give them fresh legs. A new voice. You've had Dwayne Casey for 5 seasons, and the same old messages, the same old preaching. The same old workouts. Maybe you get a new coach, and you kind of have like how OKC had their coach, and just they puts them in a position to where you're like, oh, okay, this may be a playing team. You never really know. That's why a lot of people have been saying this offseason is probably the most important offseason for Troy Weaver since he's, gotten the job, because you got to get that head coach right. This is going to be Troy Weaver's first time picking a head coach. He didn't pick Dwayne Casey. Dwayne Casey was already here. So he has to get that head coach right. You got to make smart free agency moves. You're probably going to have to make some decisions on this roster. I do think that they can flirt with the play-in, but I'll leave it at that. I think, low 30s to mid 30s is probably where I would put the win total. But, I was wrong last year. I thought this was a play-in team, and I was completely wrong, and I'll admit that.
Well, hopefully we're both wrong, and they are a play-in team this year.